This is required watching, where we watch the essential films from lists of cinematic influencers and look at them through the lens of learning about filmmaking and how to move forward. I'm your host, Trey Epps, and this movie is directed by Gerard Johnstone, written by Akilah Cooper and James Wan, starring Allison Williams, Violet McGray, and Ronnie Chang, amongst a whole other host of other people. Um, this is M3GAN.
This project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is M3GAN.
Hi, M3GAN. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out?
M3GAN is about a young girl named Katie and her parents who are involved in a car accident, and she's sent to live with her aunt Gemma, who is a roboticist working on an AI-powered life-size doll named M3GAN. M3GAN stands for Model 3 Generative Android, and the doll is meant to be the ultimate companion to a child. When the doll is paired with Katie, it starts operating more independently and targets anything that she sees as a threat to her. The robot starts exhibiting violent tendencies, and eventually, Gemma and her colleagues attempt to shut it down. The robot goes on a killing spree, leading to eventual showdown between Gemma, Katie, and M3GAN. Katie ultimately destroys M3GAN, but its processing chip remains active and looks at them as they leave the house. I'll be honest. I love M3GAN, and the reason why we're talking about it is as I think the reason why I wanted to look at this film specifically is because of, I think, one, a black horror writer is always fun. I think it's an unrepresented space. I think people of color writing horror is not something that happens often. And the start of this series obviously felt kind of culturally important, as it reckons back to like all of these puppet movies, right? But specifically thinking about Child's Play, which was a brilliant movie, that I watched when I was far too young, and wanted nothing more but to kind of keep going back to it. And I feel like M3GAN is one of those things that kind of it continues to it haunts me, and the idea of it haunts me. And when I first saw the trailer, I thought this looks pretty great. But as AI and science and technology really make these leaps and bounds, despite no hoverboard being on the market, um, I thought it was interesting to look at. Now, I think a lot of this film, despite actually a recut of this film, a director's cut of this film, where it was meant to be a bit gorier and more deleted scenes were put in. I didn't find this to be necessarily jump out scary or like a lot of blood or anything like that. In fact, the scary bit of this was knowing that something was lurking beneath, right? Like it's kind of like that Jaws effect. We know Jaws is in the water. We don't need to see the fin. Um, so watching like these really subtle and cool kind of moments and events happen where she does kill the kid, or that we know that she's listening, or just again small things. I felt like this is chapter one. This definitely felt like chapter one. This felt like something that was going to have more legs on it than just the single movie. So I was really excited to see the setup of that, because if they do this properly, I do think this could be, maybe not like Scream per se, where a lot of screams all at once, but it could be a series that really continues to have maybe even a trilogy of really nice moments that talk about where we are as a culture, which I think is a really great aspect of it. Um, uh, uh, but again, the evolving, the evolving psycho, like I don't know, can you call it a psychology of an AI? But the evolving like evilness and individuality of this AI and how it's choosing to kill. Because as you don't know, M3GAN is going to have a sequel. But while this one really focused on M3GAN wanting to kill people that caused a threat to Katie, what does this mean now? Is she now on the hunt for Katie and Sophie? Katie and Sophie? Uh, for Katie and Gemma? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, and you want it to really feel fresh. So I'm kind of worried about it. But like I said, uh, I think writers of color doing genre is rare, and there's been a lot of praise most recently for like Nia DaCosta doing like Candyman and her meteoric rise, rightfully so, I think. And here where we have a writer of color who is not only given a chance to do these things, but people are showing up to watch films like this. And I think that is so important that we continue to talk about underrepresented voices and allow, because guess what, guess what? Black Rider didn't have, a horror movie about black things. It's okay. We know how to write something that isn't specific and tied to ethnicity and heritage, right? Um, and I think that's pretty cool. So, anyways, I'll wrap this up, make it really, really short. Tell me what you think. Um, uh, of course, I won't leave you without some fun facts. Here we go. The writer of the film said the original body count was much higher, with the film being much gorier. Writer Akila Cooper hopes the film is eventually has an unrated cut release. Again, which I believe we just had, maybe not the most unrated, but a new cut. Amy McDonald performed any of Megan's scenes that called for physical movement. The puppet could not any physical movement that the puppet could not do, and also did all of her own stunt work. Donald received movement coaching from Jed Brophy and Luke Hawker in portraying Megan's agility. On set, Donald wore a static silicone Megan mask created by FX and was later replaced by CG versions of the Megan face to match the animatronic. Once the first trailer went viral on TikTok with teenagers, Universal Studios had to retool the film, gearing it towards younger audiences. Once the first Hollywood films, it's one of the first Hollywood films within the last 45 years to be released on the first Friday in January and obtain a fresh Rotten Tomatoes score. Traditionally, films released on the first Friday in January, especially horror films, had received generally negative reviews from critics. Several sequences make reference and homages to Child's Play. Several of the focus shots on Katie are inspired by the frames of Andy and some of the scenes of Child's Play. Even in the battle between Gemma and Megan is inspired by the final climax of Child's Play where Karen Barkley confronts Chucky. In terms of scene stealers, I'm going to say, can we just call Allison Williams a Scream Queen? Is that how that works? Between Get Out and this, and I know she's done some other films between, I'm really liking this move for her. I really feel like, to get away from whatever legacy that Girls had, which I enjoyed, I watched all of. I'm a fan of Allison Williams. To watch her go from this to, again, Get Out to Megan, and again, all the stuff that she's done in between, I love this side of her. I love that it's like not so self-serious. I like that she hasn't made this turn to like, I don't know, something super dramatic. I'm not saying that she can't do it, but I feel like her character on Girls it was so self-serious. So I like that she is doing some more different character work. Okay, so in terms of how I would make this better, hear me out. A team up. Because there's going to be like 17 Megan movies. A team up. Megan, Chucky, Annabelle, the puppet from Goosebumps. All of them come together and tear it up. Like they go on an absolute killing spree. It's like puppet Avengers or puppet Justice League. Whatever puppet team up you want to think of, where all these like this puppet universe where things just go awry and they're just murdering people. Anyways, that's a terrible idea. Please don't take me seriously. Is this film required? Listen, I'm going to say something controversial, and that's yes. I've been trying to figure it out for myself, and I think it's something worth considering. If it's not your lane, it's not your lane, but horror movies have, incredibly low budgets traditionally, and very simple concepts also traditionally. What makes them good or bad is obviously the story, but I think people are much more willing to take risks on really good or potentially good horror movies. And I think it's something, again, worth considering. And I think as you continue, as someone who likes horror but understands that I am not I am not part of the primary audience for horror films. I know that like there's a certain niche I fit in, and if I were to channel some of my stories within that niche, I'm sure I can come up with a great horror story, even for just practice. But really being able to get into the culture of this genre is something I don't think a lot of people do. We usually talk about films in terms of drama and comedy, and there's so many other genres out there that are being taken seriously that should be recognized for the work that they do and the push in storytelling. And I think there is a way to I think that you should take away the inspiration, the understanding how the mechanics of films like this work and films that came before it, all the Blumhouse films, etc. To be able to have that in your toolbox for when someone asks you about a horror movie, you can kind of retool things, or again, even just think about and have it in the back of your mind. Please don't make a horror movie if you don't want to make a horror movie. But it's something that I find interesting to kind of just think about as I think about how to make my stories better. So with that said, what did you think about M3GAN? Again, we're wrapping up some of this like newer film, Oscar baity kind of film. I know M3GAN is not part of the Oscars, but I intend to keep new movies going while also doing some genre specific movies or like location specific movies. I've been watching some Indian films. I'm gonna keep up, gonna get into African films and other films. But let me ask you this. Are there TV shows that I should be watching? I'm thinking about talking about either whole seasons of shows or maybe even talk about the pilot of one show and see what I think of it. Let's chit chat. So much room for improvement. Thanks so much. Thanks for checking this out. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that jazz. Until next time, folks. Peace.
3, 2, 1, go.
I love that M3GAN's such a fun character to play, and she's like really like loves Katie, and she like loves to do stuff with her. I don't like that she kills people, but it's fun to act like when she kills people. The preparation that we have to do for this is my dance teacher, Kylie Norris, choreographed a little dance, and then we had Ike and Jed. They also helped with all of the movement, making sure that it was like right. And then we had this piece of music that we did it to, and it was absolutely so fun to do. I've represented New Zealand at the Dance World Cup in Portugal in 2019, and I'm the first New Zealander to ever bring back medals, and I got bronze and silver.